The world is insane. It's filled with delusion, madness, opinion belief, war, violence. And sometimes you think it's hard to find the love, but only in a way, and we have to be careful of what we see and how we judge the world because of the things that are shown to us and because of the ways, in many ways, that we're manipulated and the ways that we plug in to this thing called the matrix. We plug in through our emotional bodies, right? Through our fear factor, through our cortisol response. And so we plug in and it manipulates the mind and it distorts the mind and it changes the energy field that is our innate wholeness. It fragments us within and it fragments us without. And we end up, fighting ridiculous battles with ourselves and with other people. There are those who are so lost in their ideology. There are those who are so lost in their greed. There are those who are so lost in their ignorance and delusion. Are willing to do things to other human beings that is unspeakable. I'm talking on individual levels and on tribal levels. Personally, I can't imagine why someone would pick up a gun for anyone, either for the self or for a regime, without being utterly clear what it is that's going on and who we're fighting for. Some wars might need to be fought. Most wars are a manipulation. And so, for me, this is a blessed relief, just wandering a bit through the Santa Fe hills, speaking with you, out with my dog, away from the highly charged world of social media, manipulation, what's presented. It's incredible. I do spend a lot of time on X because that's where my poetry goes out. And I don't know, I kind of like X. Boy, has it changed a bit, even in the last year. Now, it's like an onslaught of violence and sex and horror and paranoia. And amongst that is some truth. But in amongst all the darkness and the manipulation is some truth. Just, whatever happened to this silence of being that we are. I don't know about you, but I get weary of the constant onslaught. Social media is, in the internet world, is a beautiful thing. But it also has a dark side. Everything in the world of form has a light side and a dark side. It seems that everything has a yin and a yang, a positive and a negative. Nothing escapes that. It's almost a resonance almost as just a vibrational movement, and I think it's been going on forever, and it will go on forever. Polarity is the nature of form. Polarity is the nature of the dance, and to expect it to end, certainly in the times that we're in, is a delusion, which in many ways, we were talking about this on a meeting yesterday where somebody was filled with such sadness for the world and sorrow and grieving and, witnessing the world and just, oh, my dog. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. And it was like we explored this feeling about the thing we call the world. And in many ways, what we came to is that the world really is the mirror. We have it the wrong way around. We see the world, all its suffering and manipulation and horror and violence, and we feel called that we want to do something, to save it. Maybe a noble thought, maybe a desperate thought, but also a thought that when it's turned on its head and we realise there's so very little we can actually do in this thing we call the external world, that it renders us helpless. And that's what I'm saying. Helplessness about the world is the doorway through which we can go, because it breaks us open. Breaks our heart. The world of our experience is the doorway through which we can go. And I think we can go through that doorway. And that restores us in some way to a kind of integrity. There's nothing wrong with a broken heart. I've said this before, again and again. There are two choices we have. Heart broken down or heart broken open. To a certain extent, we have to go through the first to get to the second. We have to reach a point, breakdown, before we can break through. It's the bifurcation point. It's the nature of transformation. So we have to let it all in. And it hurts, of course. But in amongst this journey, this long journey of transformation that a lot of people are going through to try and find the light in the darkness, or the peace in the suffering, or the equanimity in the division, it's also really good to just take yourself out. Not doing anything. No sport. No activity. Nothing. Just out into nature. Into the forest. Or into the wilderness somewhere. No purpose. No intention. No trying to get anywhere. Just kind of wandering almost. And leave the world behind and wander. And in that wandering, something deeper happens. We touch the essence of nature. Commune with some of the raw natural world that's untouched by a human hand of the ego, that just is. Yeah, just exists. It evolves. It grows. It dies. It emerges. Look at this tree. Fallen down. All of this. This is just us in our innateness. This is all just us in our naturalness. You know, a lot of the so-called awakening and the awakening that I speak of is not rocket science. It's just natural. It's awareness walking with no agenda. It's peace walking. It's just walking as the naturalness that we are. Not trying to get anywhere, just responding to life as it is. It's a peace that passeth mind's understanding. To just be here now as this. No forward motion, no backward motion, no clutching at the past, no preoccupation with the future. Just being here now in this. What's so difficult? What is so difficult? And we struggle with it in meditation. And mind argues with it endlessly, of course. And yet here we are, you know, half an hour from my house, up in the Santa Fe hills, and it just is. Listen to that silence. And of course, in the silence, you hear things. Mind says, "What's that?" Mind says, "Is that a predator for my dog? Is that a trouble coming?" And still we walk on now. I'm blessed in many ways to come to Santa Fe. How we ended up here, in many ways, I don't know really, you know. We lived in England. I came to America 8 years ago. 2016. And lived in California, thanks to generous, beautiful soul, looked after us. And then we did an event in Santa Fe. Come on this way. Small event in somebody's house. And we had no idea what we were going to do. We were very naive in many ways when we came to America. Amoda had a book deal, and I was just still pretty lost. But then we came to Santa Fe and did a small event, and which was very beautiful. And then we walked outside, you know, to go and just wander around or something like that. And we looked and felt the vibration of Santa Fe with the adobe houses and just the gentle kind of vibe in the artistic feel, and the sky above our heads. It was enchanted, and it was like, oh man, we could live here. 10, 15 years ago, I had a record deal from England. I had a record deal with a company who came out of Santa Fe called New Earth Records. Bhikkhu and Waduda were there, the owners of it. And I wrote an album called Unconditional Love. And through a series of beautiful acquaintances, it landed on their lap, and they liked it, and they gave me a small record deal. And I remember thinking, I wonder what Santa Fe is like. I wonder what it's like. And then 15 years later, we decided to move to Santa Fe, and we found a rental property, and we've been in Santa Fe ever since. And that's a blessing. But not everybody can or does live in these kind of places. And just before you think that we're really rich and I'm a rich rock star or anything, let me get you that is just not true. Amoda and I have walked the world, come to America with nothing, zip. That's another story altogether. How we've done what we've done, and now we run this non-profit, the Amoda Maa Foundation. And we do quite a lot of teaching, and I'm on board with it now. And it's a very beautiful community we work with, and I'm completely devoted to the teaching program and to the service that I personally can offer. And especially since Amoda is really the light of this teaching, and I firmly believe that the world needs wisdom of the feminine, the female teacher who's got clarity and vision and presence, but also a deep love and a deep grace. And she has all of those qualities in magnificent amounts. And as a man, I'm only too pleased to serve that with the greatest honor, to the capacity that I can. And this is a complete digression, of course, from what I'm talking about, but I trust that you can indulge me just a little bit in my ramblings, because it's a beautiful life. And I would never have thought this, coming out of England, where we lived, really in kind of difficulty in a sense. I was lost all of my life. I'm 65 years old, and I've only really discovered something true about myself in, I would say, the last 5 to 10 years. And now it's coming through. I left it late in life. Some people do leave it late in life, but I like to think that maturity takes time. And good things, you have to wait for good things to happen. At least that's what I'm saying. So, take yourself out. Consider the depth of what you actually have. Appreciate life now, such as it is. I know you might be suffering. I know there might be trouble in the body, trouble in the emotions, trouble in the mind, trouble in the heart, trouble in the world, trouble in your small world, and trouble in the big world. But in many ways, all we can do is to appreciate life, the life that we have now, this moment. Cherish it as the existence you are. Life is pouring through each one of us. We think we have to do something. We imagine we have to do so much more than we're doing. And this is an aberration in so many ways, because it keeps us on a kind of treadmill, thinking I have to do more, I should be more, I should be further, I should be greater, I should be richer, I should be more, I should be more loving, I should have this, I should have more of that, I should have something else. And these endless stories we tell ourselves. And yet, meanwhile, the divine lives through us, as us, in this moment, and in this moment, and in this moment. As John Lennon said, and I can't remember the words particularly, but life is what happens when you're busy making plans. And there's so much truth in that, because life is here now, not there then. Either there then in the future, or there then in the past. Past, it lives with us, but our task is to resolve it through being here now. Appreciate the life now. This is all we have, really, isn't it? Thisness. And in many ways, it's so hard to realize that beautiful thisness of things when you sat in front of your computer, glued onto your phone, distracted by one news item, another bit of drama, another opinion. He's this, they're that, the country's going to shit, the country's going to be great, it's all manipulation and you're going to die. And, things we obsess about are things that we can't do anything about. What can we do anything about? Be here now. Cherish this. This is the moment that we have. And from this arises something more true. It's taken me a long time to get to a point of being able to speak with or feel or live from a constant kind of, what I would call grace and equanimity. And I don't say it lightly. And, the world of my experience has waves in it, of course. We're engaged in the world, Amoda and I. That's what I mean about coming to America. We're engaged in the world. I used to try and avoid the world because I kind of feared it, hated it, feared it, didn't know what to make of it, didn't understand anything about it, terrible at making money, couldn't, an artistic kind of soul in many ways. Come to America and that ain't good enough. You've got to survive, So, and that's what we do. We live, we flourish, we have our non-profit, we do what we do to the best of our capacity. Life is wavy, man. Life rocks. It comes at us. And all sorts of things happen. I've got to go. My phone is ringing.